This is Locked On Bets, the daily betting show that means business from the Locked On Podcast Network. Hosted by Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers, they're dropping fearless picks with an inside edge to put money in your pocket. If there's action, they've got the lock. This is where smart bets start. It's Locked On Bets.
Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports with you. Very busy show today because the NBA, it starts up. And we have a couple of Western Conference games, Rockets, Thunder, Warriors, Lakers tonight on NBC. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's coming back tonight. The Round Ball Rock is back. So we're going to talk about Warriors, Lakers in just a moment. Also, we have some NHL plays for tonight. And Saturday play in the SEC, black and gold all over the place. Vandy and Missouri, we'll talk about that as well. And we'll recap the baseball from last night. We know it was in the World Series. Let's first look at tonight's blowout special in the NBA.
Oh, boy. Last one out, turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
The second game of the doubleheader coming up this evening in the NBA, Lee. The Warriors and the Lakers in L.A. No LeBron James. Father Time stays undefeated as he has, sciatica, and he's sidelined for a little bit. So now it's just Luka. Luka's got to carry the load there in L.A. against Steph Curry and the Warriors, who are a 3-point favorite at Crypto.com Arena. Lee, what do you like here with Golden State and L.A.?
So no one's talking about Golden State this year. I mean, what happened in the playoffs, I think they would have won their matchup against Minnesota. They won game one, and then Steph Curry goes out with a hamstring injury, and, their fate was sealed. So totally off the radar. Jimmy Butler now, it's not like he's coming in mid-season. When he's healthy, he's good. National TV, he's one of these guys, loves to show out in front of a national audience. And I like the supporting cast that they have. Jonathan Kuminga, 15 points per game, averages almost 5 rebounds per game. Buddy Hield off the bench, 11 points per game. And then there's the Lakers with Luka and no one else. I mean, DeAndre Ayton, that was their best offseason acquisition and free agency. He averages 14 points and 10 rebounds. It's got to be the softest center. I mean, he's right up there. I mean, whenever you think that it's important, he'll let a guy get a layup. I mean, he doesn't. If you're going to foul someone hard. I mean, his are like touch fouls. So he's soft. He produces his points generally when it means absolutely nothing. Besides not protecting the paint, I just think he's a nothing. I think that he's already on his third team. He's 27 years old. If I was that big and that skilled, trust me, no one would have let him go. So who else do they have? Rui Hachimura. He's like a 5th, 6th, 7th guy. Dalton Connect, Austin Reeves. I mean, these guys are just fill-in jags. I mean, so they don't have a second and third option, in my opinion, against Golden State here. And I think Golden State has something to prove here opening night. I'm going to lay the 2.5 here. We're going to start off here as a blowout special. First night of the NBA action.
So taking a look back at last night's action, Lee went 2-1-1 on the show, and the big win late, Seattle. They take care of Houston at home. The Seahawks, they went cross-country, beat Jacksonville last week, now back at home this week. They take care of business. The Texans, you'd mentioned it last week, or really yesterday in the show, that the Texans, you beat Tennessee at home, who's terrible. You beat Baltimore, who's awful defensively and was without Lamar Jackson. Now they go to Seattle, and they don't play well. The Seahawks pick up a big win there.
They did, and the score is not indicative of how much they dominated. They were dominating the line of scrimmage. There should have been, I think C.J. Stroud was only sacked 3 times. Should have been like 7 or 8. He was literally running for his life. He must have thrown the ball out of bounds 7 or 8 times just to avoid a sack. And Houston got one of their touchdowns on a strip sack in the end zone, and then one of their other touchdowns was on a play late where they scored a touchdown with a little over 2 minutes to go in the game. So if you woke up and saw the score, you're like, oh, okay, it was probably competitive. It really wasn't. And I think Seattle's a really complete team. They were missing a couple guys in the secondary, including Witherspoon, and they still dominated. When he comes back, they're going to be tough. I mean, this is a really good team. As long as Sam Darnold plays well and he's not put in long down and distance situations on a consistent basis, they're going to be a tough out. They win the division. They have home field advantage. Seattle, believe it or not, they could end up getting to the Super Bowl.
It's so funny how we talked about that Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, and Baker Mayfield, guys left for dead. They've all become on teams that have real big aspirations for the playoffs, maybe more. Transitioning to Baker Mayfield in that game, Tampa Bay, they lose in Detroit. They really couldn't get anything going offensively. Want to mention this with Jared Goff because you had the over in his passing yards. It felt like I was monitoring that. It felt like in the second half, like he was on his way, needed about 40 or 50 more yards, and they just couldn't get it at that point.
Well, it was a combination. Tampa Bay had a bunch of long possessions, and then also when they get the ball, I think they had 2 or 3 straight 3-and-outs, and the play calling got very conservative. Whenever they throw the ball, it was like 2-3 yards, flanker screens to back out of the backfield. They were not attacking. So the key is in the NFL, as we all know, there's some serious talent going around this league. And if you don't attack, they got lucky. They stopped attacking, but it could hurt them in the future. You don't think of Dan Campbell as one of these coaches that's going to stop attacking. He went for it 4th down early when they were up 7-0. When I said, telling everyone at my house, oh, you want to go for the field goal, make it 10-0 here. He just sometimes just can't control himself. I think at the end it might hurt him once they get in the playoffs. Mostly these announcers, they agree with it. Oh, the card says to go for it here. Bottom line is you got to have a feel for a game. So I think he's a player's coach. I'd love to play for him. I just don't think he has a great feel for the game. And they're going to have to get some DBs back, Kevin. I mean, the guys that they had played great last night, and the game was at home. It was on turf. They're a speed team. If they have to go on the road, they lose another couple DBs or another couple defensive players. It's going to be like last year when they were down 8 of their 11 starters, and they couldn't stop a cold.
And you look at the Bucs side, you just feel bad for a guy like Mike Evans that he was out for 3 weeks with a hamstring injury. He comes back. And Tampa Bay had all these injuries to the receivers. He's back there, and on that long pass that he just gets caught up, and he breaks his collarbone. I'm sure it's incredibly painful. And now he's out for basically the rest of the regular season. So you think you come back, you could be a help, and now first game back you get hurt, and now you're back to square one with Tampa Bay.
Yeah, they can't get a break. So if they do get in the playoffs, it looks like he will definitely be back. I would guess because I know a lot. Players that I play with have broken collarbones, including my brother when he was in high school. So it's minimum of 6, probably 8 to 9 weeks to really fully heal. And then you don't feel you're the same. You got to be honest. But he's a supreme athlete, and they get into the playoffs for the last week of the regular season. They'll give him a go probably, and he'll definitely be a big boost. But it's certainly losing one of the top 10 receivers in the NFL. Isn't going to help you.
We pushed on our hockey game. I had the Wild first period. They ended up beating the Rangers in the game, but they were tied with New York at 1-1. In baseball, now the World Series set, Lee. Dodgers, Blue Jays. You had George Kirby under 3.5 strikeouts. Made it through 4 innings, but then he was pulled, had the 3 strikeouts. Just watching that game, and I was flipping back and forth. There was so much going on last night, and Seattle's up 3-1. You're like, okay, 9 outs. Get through 9 outs. And Brian Wu in the 7th walks the first batter, gives up a hit. All of a sudden, first and second, they pull him. When George Springer came up to the plate, I'm not going to say you thought he'd hit a bomb, but you're like, something's going to happen here. You just know this. And this guy, it's like him and Vlad. Those are the 2 guys that they come up in that situation. Something is going to happen. George Springer gets a fastball down the middle of the plate, cranks it, and you're like, oh, here we go. Now Toronto's going. Seattle is not winning this game. Once that was it with 2 innings to go, Seattle's no shot. And you see the Blue Jays now going to the World Series.
You nailed it. Yeah, I felt the same exact way. So I feel bad for the Seattle fans. At least Toronto's been there a couple times before. I would have preferred to see the Dodgers in Seattle. Some people on the East Coast will say, oh, it doesn't interest me. But Dodgers are interesting. Seattle has some interesting players. Your Florida State grad, Cal Raleigh, is interesting. They have a couple fun players to watch. I think they have the better pitching staff, but You just got to do it on the field, and they just were not able to do it. So I feel really bad for anyone who's a Seattle Mariners fan. They've never been to a World Series, and if I was them, I'd sign this cast back. I think they can do it next year. So whatever you got to do, if I'm the owner, I try to bring them back.
Yeah, you're up 2-0. You're up 3-2. You're leading in Game 7 on the road. You're thinking, we got this. And that's what happens. And I believe a little bit of over-managing in that situation, a little bit. I don't like bringing a reliever in with runners on first and set. You're putting him in a bad spot. I don't know. I didn't love that. And now the Mariners, they got to watch the World Series from home, and we'll see Dodgers actually now go to Toronto. So the first 2 games in Toronto, Dodgers don't have home field advantage in this World Series. So we'll see how that whole thing turns out. And that begins on Friday. And so a couple of days off with that. Coming up, Lee, we do have the NHL. I know tonight's kind of a quiet night, but still it plays. And want to mention this, though, before we hit the break, though, that just going back to the NFL for a second. The number, this is incredible. I got to say this. You're 23-2 in the NFL in your last 5 weeks at Paramount Sports. You're 23-2. Like, that's unreal. And I know that things don't last forever, but during that 5-week stretch, what is that, 90%?
Yeah.
Is my math right on that one?
Right there.
90,
yeah.
That's insane right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling it right now. I mean, we even hit on the showing for my clients, Cincinnati, on Thursday night. And then last night for my clients, I had Detroit. So I'm feeling it right now. I think I understand the personnel and the coaching and things like that. I'm going to lose some games. It's going to happen. It's going to even out eventually. But, 23-2 right now over the last 25 games on Sunday. So, if you're not with me, you should certainly think about it real quickly.
And you also had Detroit last night in your service as well.
Yeah. As I mentioned, had Detroit. We had, obviously, for the show, Seattle, but Detroit for my paid clients. So it's been quite a run. Yeah, we hit both games last night. So feeling real good about it. And 6 teams are off. 6 teams are on the bye. But I think there's some great situations here. Remember, the trade deadline's coming up. So, some teams are under the gun here. And maybe the most important thing now is you got to understand the injuries. I start monitoring the injuries from Wednesday on. So that's very, very important. I have so many friends, they'll come over and they'll be like, oh, I like this team. And I'm like, oh, well, did you know that the starting receiver and their best pass rusher aren't playing? They're like, no. You got to know those kind of things and know the matchups.
Yeah, so very good. Paramount Sports are 23-2 the last 25 on Sundays in the NFL. Coming up, we will take a look at the NHL for tonight. A couple games to get to. That is straight ahead right here on Locked On Bets. Let's talk now about FanDuel, and that's right. The NFL season continuing. We're at week 8 already, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And what can you bet on? So many choices as we roll on here. You can look at the MVP, Patrick Mahomes. He is right now the favorite to win that award at FanDuel. Josh Allen is right behind him. And oh, by the way, the Kansas City Chiefs, yep, they are the favorites at FanDuel to win the Super Bowl. You have Thursday Night Football, the Vikings and the Chargers in L.A., and that should be a fun matchup there with the player props of Justin Herbert. If you want to bet on that, Justin Jefferson as well with his receiving props. And again, Super Bowl, AFC winner, NFC winner, MVP, Week 8, all of that you can bet right now at FanDuel. And my question is, what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. All right, let's roll on here with the Tuesday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers with you, along with Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. And let's now go to the NHL, and I'm going to start with the hidden gem.
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
We're going to go the first period play. I love the first period plays. We're going to take the Pittsburgh Penguins tonight. They're back at home hosting the Vancouver Canucks. And you can get Pittsburgh. Right now, it's pretty much a short dog here in this one. Now, it is the Arturs Shilov's revenge game, the former Vancouver Canuck facing his former team tonight in Pittsburgh. The Canucks have won the first 3 games on their current road trip. They just took care of the Capitals on Sunday. They led 3-0 after 1. They held off Washington 4-3. They've already beaten Dallas. They beat Chicago in the shootout. But also in the game on Sunday, they scored 3 goals in the first period. They hadn't scored a first period goal in the previous 4 games. So I'm going to assume this was an anomaly, what we saw against the Capitals. And now you're getting a Penguins team who was back home from California. They won the final 2 games over LA and San Jose. Pittsburgh has not led through the first period in 5 straight games, but I think that now coming back home against Vancouver for just 1 game before heading to Florida to take on the Panthers Thursday, I think this is more of a letdown for Vancouver here on this trip as opposed to for Pittsburgh coming back home from the California trip. So we're going to take Pittsburgh here in the first period to lead after 20 minutes against Vancouver. That is going to be, Lee, our hidden gem.
They always seem to have a nice home ice advantage. So I think their fans are going to be pretty fired up. Big week for them. Listen to a lot of the Pittsburgh shows. You know, they got the hockey going, and then they got the Packers coming into town on Sunday night. So this is kind of like a little warm-up. That, you know, the Pittsburgh fans, they like to get going, tailgating and having a good time. And I think this is going to be a start maybe of a big week for them.
And we'll see you back at the new Igloo in Pittsburgh. So we'll see how that one turns out. All right, Lee, now let's go stay in the NHL. Western Conference matchup now with the Kings and Blues with the blowout special.
Oh, boy. Last one out, turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
Los Angeles Kings, they've had their struggles early on this season, and they go to St. Louis. The Blues off a nice win a few nights ago over the Dallas Stars. And now these two teams meeting up tonight in Eastern Missouri. Lee, what do you like here with the Blues and the Kings?
Yeah, so I'm looking to bet against the LA Kings here as often as I can. I think this situation sets up really well for the St. Louis Blues. Jim Hiller was never the right coach and hire here for the Kings, in my opinion. His play style was just too conservative, and yet his team takes way too many penalties at the same time. They have taken 6 penalties in a game 3 times already this season. St. Louis has some offensive issues, but they're getting a few opportunities here on the power play, and having 2 nights of rest here, I think, before this game could pay dividends here. What puts LA in an even worse situation is their number 1 center and their number 1 goalie are out of this game and potentially going to be out for longer. I watched a game against Carolina the other night, and they just couldn't get anything going offensively. They had a 37.8% face-off percentage and just 9 high danger chances all game long. So against the Blues team here that is still trying to break out and playing better of late, I'm going to take this cheap price of minus 135. I think this line should be 150 or higher, so get on it immediately. I see him winning this game 4-1 or 4-2, so we're going to go with a blowout special here. St. Louis Blues, they take the money here tonight, the NHL.
Yeah, very busy night in the league. And again, for those of you that don't really watch hockey, a lot of action every night. So with baseball wrapping up, I know the NBA is starting, but you still have a lot of opportunities to make money over in the NHL. Coming up, we will take a look at college football for Saturday. Big one in the SEC. That's right. Second straight weekly, the Vanderbilt Commodores are favored in a conference game. We got to stop the world because we never thought it would happen, but they take on the Missouri Tigers in Nashville. We'll talk about that game coming up. You're listening to Locked On Bets. Locked On Bets continues here on a Tuesday. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. Vanderbilt and Missouri. Big one in the SEC. Time now for the lock of the day.
Open it, open it, open it. Lee has the key to the lock of the day.
Well, I guess in our lifetime, Vanderbilt was going to be relevant in the SEC, and that day is now. They beat LSU at home last week. Another game at home, now taking on the Missouri Tigers. Both teams at 6-1. Lee, what do you like here? The Commodores, a short favorite against the Tigers.
All right, so I'm going to call this game I came this close to beating Alabama game. Both teams had their chances, couldn't pull it off. And I think anything that Missouri quarterback Bo Prabilla can do, and he's decent, 11 touchdowns, but 7 interceptions and 210 rushing yards. Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia can just do at a higher level. He has 15 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions. He's run for over twice what Prabilla has done so far this year, 438 rushing yards. What I'm seeing is the reason that Bo Prabilla did not beat out Juilliard at Penn State is he's not real proficient at reading defenses. So Diego Pavia, remember, was a starting quarterback from Mexico State for a couple years, started all last year. So I think it's his 4th year, if I'm not wrong, starting. And Bo Prabilla, this is his first year starting. So make some mistakes reading defenses, and interceptions in big games can cost you. Missouri running back Ahmad Hardy, great to start off the year, leading the nation, 730 rushing yards the first 5 games. And then, bam, came to a stop. 52 rushing yards against Alabama, average just 4.3 yards per carry. And in 2 overtimes, just 58 rushing yards against Auburn, averaging just 2.4 yards per carry. Last week, Missouri won at Auburn, pretty much mainly because Auburn's field goal kicker missed 3 field goals in the game. And Missouri last year, 0-3 straight up as a road dog here. I think the right team is favored. I think Vanderbilt's going to take care of business. We're going to go with a level 2 lock on a Tuesday. Vanderbilt 30-22 against Missouri.
Yeah, that should be a very exciting game there, and see if Vanderbilt can keep this up. And Missouri, only their 2nd road game of the year. That's what happens when you schedule all these games at home. You don't leave town, and we'll see what Missouri does here on the road. Should be a very fun game. Lee, it's been a fun time for you at Paramount Sports. NFL, we talked about it earlier. Just on fire, absolutely on fire. 23-2 the last 5 Sundays in the NFL. Got another big week of college coming up. So what do you have going on with Paramount Sports?
Well, they want to hop on board. We have that special. It's 4 NFL Sunday weekends. It's called Lee's NFL Sunday Golden Ticket. 4 weeks of Sunday plays. We text you the plays. You're going to get them probably Thursday afternoon to Friday morning. 5 selections that I'm personally betting for the next 4 weeks, 20 selections, 4 weeks, just $197. You can go through the end of the season in the NFL. Remember, these are Sunday-only plays, 5 every week. You're going to get through January 4th. Got 11 weeks left of the NFL season, just $447. So you want to have fun. You want to make some money. No one in the country can touch that record, 23-2 over the last 5 Sundays. So it's all available at ParamountSports.com. Big UFC pay-per-view coming this weekend. That will be up. Baseball playoffs, everything continues there. NBA tonight. Hop on there. Had another great season there. We've won now 11 straight years in the NBA and college basketball. So everything's up and available in hockey. Hockey's in rare form and got some big plays coming up midweek this week. So, may only be a couple college plays, not teams you're familiar with, the FIUs of the world in Western Kentucky, and we might have something going there on some of those plays. So check out all the specials. Just one place, ParamountSports.com.
And also, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Locked On Bets, also the podcast version on Spotify, on Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Bets, you could find it there. You can see Lee on X, Paramount Sports, myself at Rogers Picks. We'll be back with you coming up on Wednesday for more selections right here on Locked On Bets as part of the Locked On Podcast Network.